Is the U.S. Senator from the state of Mississippi, Cindy Hyde-Smith, who serves on the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee. By the way, has jurisdiction over the Army Corps of Engineers, and they have, it was a pretty darn good announcement last week. And good morning, ma'am. How are you?
Good morning. We're hanging in there, Paul.
When are you headed back to Washington?
Right now, the date looks like Monday, May the 4th.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have some calls between now and then. If that is delayed, we're just not sure, but that's the date we have in front of us right now.
But if this, my understanding earlier on a breaking story for Fox, that apparently a bipartisan committee in the House has agreed to this additional bailout. What does that mean for you as far as in the Senate?
Well, we're expected, and, we're still in what we call pro forma, that we're going into session, and we can do things by unanimous consent right now. And, but we were just getting some details on the new relief bill, and we have to, of course, go through it really close, as we've learned from the last relief bill, but it looks like it's going to be probably between $400 and $500 billion. And, $300 billion for SBA because we ran out of money so quickly. But, before we did, we had 21,000 loans for small businesses for the Paycheck Protection Plan in Mississippi. And it was almost $2.5 billion issued in Mississippi here. So, we would replenish that to that tune of about $300 billion. And economic disaster, of course, the hospitals, we're having to shore them up because they're not doing the elective surgeries, and that is a real crisis there in Mississippi.
Do you have any idea how much this new package, if it is, and it does come out at $300 billion, do you have any idea how much is targeted for our state?
I don't have the breakdown there, but the total overall could be up to $500 billion, but $300 of it would go to SBA.
Oh, I got it. So the $300
total.
Well, a lot of that, too, and a neighbor of mine, we were talking, and they own a business or businesses, and they did not get any of the money, and the reason is their people, their accountant and the people who do that were just a little bit slow. So, and it evaporated rather quickly, so this time I'm sure they're going to be a little bit more proactive.
And we have so many already, prepared to just pull the trigger to apply for it, that, now that they've done what they need to do to prepare themselves to go ahead, and the minute it comes available, that they'll be ready to apply. But I don't think any of us actually realize that it would burn through it that fast. And, one banker said I had 20% of the people that wanted to apply at my bank. So, that is just another reason we have got to restart this economy, but we have to do it safely because we can't continue to, fund this. But once we're up and running, that will be, of course, generating the income, and maybe we can get ourselves in a better position than we are now.
Well, I hate to use you as a field reporter here, but I don't want to bypass this. Was the weather rather nasty near you, I'm sure, last night, but it got a little dicey in that area, didn't it?
Oh, yes, and we had another death last night in Columbia, in Marion County.
Didn't know that.
And, we put all of our vehicles under sheds because, we were looking for the hail and just getting prepared, but looking out the window and staying on top of the weather yesterday afternoon for the second Sunday in a row. And to have the opportunity, I flew over the total devastation. It was truly devastating to fly over the counties that were impacted last Sunday. And I flew over Tuesday, and then we had the Secretary of Homeland Security, Chad Wolf, that came on Friday, and the governor and I went back and flew over it again on Friday. And to be on the ground there, Paul, and to see, it brings back so many memories of Katrina, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But to see people, there's some very empty people walking around that have lost everything. And, I've told them we're not going to be able to get that photo album back, but, and certainly the loss of lives that are down there. But we are here to stand to get you everything we can relief-wise in those areas to just start picking up the pieces. and to see the neighbors truly helping neighbors. Down in Soso, that was hit very hard. Collins was hit so hard around that seminary area in Covington County. But to be on the ground and to go out there and see churches cooking, to feed the linemen and the people there to help restore that, it's like the overwhelmingness of where do we begin on top of COVID, Mike.
I read a story. It was I forgot when it was. But it was a guy who was helping out, and he was just diligent. As a matter of him and his family were helping to try to go through some of the ruins after a tornado, and this happened quite a while ago. But somebody asked him, he said, it's getting kind of dark and everything, and you're in the night. What are you looking for? And he said, I'm looking for the widow, the man. His wife died a couple of months before, and her wedding ring. And that he didn't care about anything else. He was looking for the wedding ring and that pile of debris. And I thought, man, that hits home right there. We never think about that. But look, let me ask you this. The Federal Register last week published the Army Corps' intent to prepare a supplemental environmental impact statement. And this is, I know it's part of the process and the paperwork, but this is a pretty big deal. And when we come back, I want you to talk to me about this, because it does have an impact on the state of Mississippi. And just that Federal Register publication yesterday on their intent has big news for the state of Mississippi, and it's a long time coming. What could come? We'll talk more about that with U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith when we return. Return to the interview with U.S. Senator Cindy Hyde-Smith on the Trustmark Small Business Line. Is she still there? Good morning. You there?
Yes.
There we go. There we go. Tell me what this means as far as what the Federal Register has done and the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers.
Well, the last time there was an entry made into the Federal Registry was 2008 when the veto was put there. So for them to do this is extremely significant. I cannot tell you the celebration that my staffers and I had when we were notified early that morning that had been entered. But it's just the first step by the federal government that they're telling us we're going to revisit the project that was vetoed, and it gives us a little bit of an outline of the things that we're expecting, and it's not going to happen overnight. That's what I want everyone to understand. But this says we're done talking, we're ready to get something done. By September, we expect them to complete the environmental analysis, and all of this has to be done to prevent litigation for the lawsuits that we are certainly expecting in this from some groups, and mostly out-of-state groups that they've made a pretty good living doing this. And then by October, the Army Corps of Engineers will release its findings to the agency. At that point, we will have a public comment period that's very common when something's released, and it will include a public hearing in October. And then by November, early December, we expect the court that uses the public comment binding to revise the report and do those things which to get it completed, hopefully by December. And then we're looking January of 2021 for the Army Corps to issue the decision on whether to proceed with a modified project proposal to complete the pumps and to alleviate the flooding. And that at that point is when we can actually get started to construction and doing things. But, 9 out of the last 10 years and that of the flooding and the damage we've had there, we had spent so much money on these floodings when the crops were lost and houses, and, we have to go in with disaster supplements down there when that happens. And, you had 2 deaths the last time. And I tell you, since I have been a member of the U.S. Senate in my short tenure, and it's pretty short when you're looking at a 2-year period compared to, people that have been there for so long, this has been one of the most significant things I've worked on. I haven't worked on anything else as hard as I've worked on this when you're talking about one segment of Mississippi. So we have really put a lot of blood, sweat, and tears into this, and we were really excited that they're tired of listening to Cindy Hyde-Smith. Yeah. I assure you.
Not to forget about this too. It also highlights, Cindy, the importance of putting Trump back in office and having conservatives, certainly in the Senate, and man, it would be great in the House too. But because the environmentalists are going to drive this, and we'll probably have lawsuit after lawsuit. I'm not sure how the process will work after that, but it's going to be imperative that the president continue his judicial appointments and all of the courts, and to have somebody in the White House who is on our side and understands this.
And it is even, with everything in Mississippi, Paul, I cannot tell you how the president has influenced these things. And that, he has responded so well to our needs. And his son-in-law, Jared Kushner, he's kind of the go-to guy. Shoot a text to him and things start happening. But the president has been extremely conscious of our needs, and he knows they're real. We're not whining. Mississippi, we're resilient. We pick up, we do things ourselves. We are so innovative, even to the point in this COVID-19 of the ventilators that, UMMC was working on, and the things at Mississippi State, converting the portable ventilators to, electric ventilators, and they see that, wow, Mississippi, they don't just sit on their hands and say, come do it for me. We get up and we march through things. And, when you have that reputation here, and there's so many justifications of and verifications of what we do for ourselves, you're going to have people that say they're helping themselves. Let's get down there and help them the way we're supposed to be doing. But, you just have to make sure you articulate exactly what's going on, that nobody's embellishing anything, nobody's fluffing anything. This is real, and federal government, this is how you can help us. And once you lay out the plan of this is, make it easier for them, they've come through for us. They really have.
I think one of the ways that we raised a lot of eyebrows is our advancement, and thanks to the good people at C-Spire, we were leading the way as far as telemedicine, and that also, kind of like third grade reading gate and some of the advancements in education, we raised a lot of eyebrows as far as telehealth.
Oh, no doubt. And it's been duplicated throughout the country. Other states are like, oh, my gosh, Mississippi was already in place to do this. And so, the timing was so good that when we did experience this, when COVID-19 came up and we were the shelter in place and, something just none of us could have predicted and certainly none of us expected. But you're exactly right. With the telemedicine, with the help of C-Spire being already positioned, it's like we were prepared, and it was so easy for them to come in and implement these programs early. And that's what's saving lives.
Well, the president, the battle, and I wonder why he has them this long. I know he's answering a lot of questions, but a lot of the time now, all it is pot shots taken by the people on the left there, and it's become a little tiring to hear some of these. The questions themselves, over and over and over again, they're not there to be informational for the people of this country. What they're being is more disinformation on tearing down the president. But you hear collectively some of the questions.
And on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your response to this crisis?
Why do you keep calling this the Chinese virus? Do you consider the term Chinese food racist?
How many deaths are acceptable?
Why do you keep using this? A lot of people say it's racist.
A person at the White House used the term Kung Flu.
Why not just shut everything down? There are grocery stores that are open.
Even if someone does come down in the White House press corps, would you pledge the American people that you'll keep this room open?
You said that you don't take responsibility, but you did disband the White House pandemic office. So what responsibility do you take to that?
Is it possible that your impulse to put a positive spin on things may be giving Americans a false sense of hope?
The Surgeon General this morning was talking about the coming week being among the hardest and saddest weeks of our lives. You all are talking about glimmers of hope and stabilization. How are the American people supposed to bridge those different descriptions?
But you're also saying again...
And it goes on, Cindy, but how does he take that? I do not know.
It is a battle every day,
Yep.
and you just have to know that that's expected when you walk into the press room. You know it's going to be attack, 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 instead of what do you have to say that we can get out to the American people. You're exactly right. And, but it's time to focus on safely opening and restarting this economy. And that's other stuff is just noise that we've learned to live with. And that's how you have to put it in perspective, that the attacks, that's just noise. And we have to get back. We have to get through that. We have to put it in its proper place and focus on what we have to be doing at the moment. So, when you have all these other things added into making decisions, trying to make the right decisions, and staying on track to get this country where it needs to be, and disregard the noise, that's a pretty good challenge.
Yeah.
But everybody kind of stays in that mode now, and, you just can't worry about the haters. And, this country is full of haters, and they're so, driven to make their points, to make you look bad. You just, we know what we have to do, and we've got to
I don't
start.
disagree with you. I think it's almost like, let's see if I can get some FaceTime. Let's see if I can get some publicity by asking an outrageous question. But the amazing thing about this is that when we shoot ourselves in the foot, we make sure the gun's not loaded anymore. We certainly don't aim it at our foot. But you look at all the polling and all the favorability ratings and everything else, it's not helping them. It's hurting them. Real quick, the president also has targeted some money for farmers. We got about 10 to 15 seconds. Your thoughts on that?
Well, production agriculture obviously is the most essential necessity. The last person you want to go out of business is people who are producing our food and feeding this country. Huge job, huge responsibility. So I'm really glad to see that, this has moved along and has progressed, and that there's funding there, because we have to sustain who's feeding us.
Got it. Thank you. I didn't want it to cut you off in the middle of a sentence there. Cindy, as always, thank you so very much. I appreciate it. Cindy Hyde-Smith, U.S. Senator, thank you. And we will